It really doesn't matter whether you're at a DSO or a private practice. The office is going to take that job description and they're going to expand it for you. So the more flexible you are, the easier, your professional development is going to be.
The scope of your job is more than what you practiced in school. And you've got to be open to that whole job description and look at that and have those conversations to understand that.
Taking, 15 minutes to have a simple phone call to see if it's worth going to the next step, going to that face-to-face, I think is crucial.
Get ready for your unofficial dental hygiene podcast. These are the tales of two hygienists, one East Coast RDH and one West Coast hygienist. Listen as they tackle the profession of dental hygiene with humor and enthusiasm. Now, please join Michelle Strange and Andrew Johnston as they tell you a tale of two hygienists.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists, episode number 290 frickin' 1. My name is Andrew.
Jeez, this is Michelle, and I'm high on Sudafed.
I don't think that's a thing.
Listen, when's the last time you took Sudafed?
I mean, it's been a bit, but I don't think you can get high off of, I don't know. Look, I don't do enough drugs to know that.
I am not on the same plane as my body. I can just say that right now. But I am sick because I was at RDH under one roof.
Hold on. I'm not going to allow you to attribute it to the conference, but I will allow you to attribute it to taking a trip. It's not art. Don't put RDHs under one roof on blast because that you got sick at a conference. I will say that you were around people, you were on planes, you were at restaurants, you took a trip, and that's why you probably got sick from that trip. Don't start bringing this best conference.
Feels like semantics. It's semantics, but sure.
I don't want to
whatever you need. It's semantics, but sure, whatever you need. I got sick on a recent trip that just happened to be RDH under one roof.
Thank you. That's better.
Okay,
that's not too much to ask. It's not the conference's fault.
And I wore my mask though, 90% of the time. I just can't believe. But I can actually. I mean, between my crappy gut health because of my surgery that still hasn't been corrected and the fact that I haven't been around human beings very much. And if I am seeing patients, I'm I got the N95 or proper mask the whole time. I just haven't experienced it. My little immune system is a weak one.
Wow.
And guess what, y'all? My vitamin D levels are good. So I know people want to throw, you need to have a good immune system and vitamin D levels and you won't get let me just stop you right there.
Everyone, I apologize for what's happening right now. We just had an amazing interview that's going to come out next week, and she was not like
and
this.
Michelle's on a rant.
But what happened? She just said
Tylenol Advil combo is wearing
Everything's
off.
wearing
getting
off.
Grumpy. Yeah.
Well, we're a dental podcast, everybody. That's what's happening.
Yes, we are a dental podcast, and this week is our student-focused roundtable. And we filmed this. We recorded this.
Hi, guys.
See, I'm telling you, I'm high. We recorded this while at the conference. So it's kind of cool to be doing this intro right after and just I am high from the conference and being with everybody as well as my Sudafed. It was nice. It was very nice to see everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and it really was a great conference. We appreciate everyone that took the time to kind of meet with us. We're so thankful for everyone that recorded with us on location. We did, was it last week that we threw out a bonus content episode? If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. It's a little bit silly. It's about this group of weirdos sitting together in a room and recording podcasts. And it was fun. And it was a lot of fun. But this particular episode that you guys are about ready to hear, the idea behind it was things have changed in the job market. And we wanted to bring on some recruiters that know firsthand knowledge of hiring practices. What are they looking for? What are they not looking for? What should you do if you want to kind of position yourself into a better situation? Hopefully you guys are all happy where you're practicing, but if you're not, then we wanted to kind of help you out. And of course, if you're a new grad or a student, this is something to be looking forward to as time's coming up. So really excited about this episode. Thank you everyone for being a part of this and enjoy it. Hey everyone, before we get into the roundtable, I need to give a quick plug for Q Optics. I cannot believe it has been more than a year since Chicago Midwinter of 2020. I remember clearly the day at the conference when we stopped by the Q Optics booth to get measured for loops, And beyond the high quality of their products, I was impressed by their professionalism. If you are a student listening to this podcast or a faculty member looking to help out your students, reach out to our friends over at Q Optics and get them into your program. You have heard on our show many times, we fully support using loupes during clinical care and highly recommend investing in a light as well. You'll be happy with that choice. To find out more and see what else they have in store, check out qoptics.com. That's q-optics.com. And now, back to the show. Welcome back, everyone, to a student roundtable, the interview portion of the student roundtable. I'm really excited today because our conversation is going to be carrying on that versus theme that we started last month, and we're going to talk about recruiting. So I have two of my friends here, the recruiters, Teresa and Pete. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.
If we could start off, let's get a little bit of your background. Who wants to go first? Teresa wants to go first.
So, Teresa, and I've been a recruiter for about 38 years now.
It's crazy. You
First-
look 38.
You're 38 years old, so that's hard to believe. But what were you recruiting before dentistry? Because we just had this conversation. Didn't we just have this conversation?
Not too long ago, yes. So previously I was a recruiter for college students coming into the R&D sector of a very major Fortune 500 company, where we brought them in as interns and or co-ops, converted them into full-timers. So it was a recruit once, hire twice mentality, usually hiring per semester around 250 individuals into the business, and then probably about another 150 through the summer. And the return on the investment was extremely positive because they were able to understand the business, understand what their role would be, what they're actually going to school for.
Yeah.
So that was great insight for them.
Because that funnel's different, way different.
Definitely different. You typically should see, let's say, 81 candidates, put them into the funnel. That reduces down all the way down to eventually 9 individuals that you're truly considering. Those 9 individuals, you'll find 3. And out of those 3, you extend an offer.
And those will be the strongest of already distilled strong individuals.
Yeah, cream of the crop at that point.
I love that. So how do we do that in dentistry? No, sorry, not to put you on the spot too much. But and then where did you go after that?
WellCare. Just doing some temp hiring for nurses and individuals. So it's always been, for me, healthcare of some form or fashion. So that's been a great little place to be in a niche, for me.
And now you specifically focus in?
Yeah, on dental hygienists inside of a DSO organization, dental service organization, and basically in between Florida and Georgia, looking for those hygienists. So tough road, but we're looking for individuals. So,
gosh, that's a varied background. Peter.
Yes. That's a hard act to follow. I'll be brutally honest here because my background is not nearly as extensive. My recruiting roots kind of start off in the retail operation. Spent quite a few number of years managing different retail organizations, and then got into the healthcare business strictly by chance. So started out doing some physician recruiting for temporary assignments, working with a small startup company. During that time, we were, kind of the roles were being crossed pretty much weekly. Sometimes I was recruiting, sometimes I was marketing, sometimes I was selling, sometimes I was just on the phone. So it was a little bit of everything. Left that and then got into WellCare as well at the same time as Teresa. And we moved on to a major DSO organization right now, where I've been doing dental hygiene recruiting for about 2.5 years. About 2.5 years now. So.
Nice.
We're a day apart in our starts.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Is that right?
Yeah, It's crazy.
So listeners, if you haven't already figured it out, we all work together. And so I have a little bit of an insider knowledge. I love these two. They're awesome at their job. I was a part of the recruiting when I first came on with this DSO as well. And I've kind of since shifted my responsibilities a little bit, but I'll tell you what, you guys did such a bang up job sourcing people and putting them on a tee for me, just kind of hit it out of the park and land them. So you guys did a fantastic job. So the name of this game is Versus, right? Like that's, as you heard kind of in the intro, that's what we're trying to do is give the listeners like 2 options and they can learn about both of the options. So the first question that we'd like you guys to answer is about new grads versus established hygienists. What is more preferable in hiring? What is more like, what kind of experiences are you having with each one? What are some of the shortcomings with each one? I'm just kind of discussing that.
Sure. So if you don't mind, I'll jump in on that. I'm going to start off with my preference. My preference is the new grads. And the biggest reason that I prefer the new grads is that they just haven't been tainted, by another organization. Once you get them through their schooling, get them through their licensing, and they start with your organization, they can learn from the ground up, so to speak. They can be taught, so to speak, the right way. And that right way can vary from company to company. But at least, by starting with the new grads, you're molding that hygienist the way you want them to be. And then from there, they're going to, depending on how long they stay at that organization, they're going to kind of adapt whichever policies and procedures that they like best at that organization. And then they're going to take that to their next organization. So I prefer the new grads over the established. They're easier to interview with. They're definitely more energetic. They tend to, give more information when you're discussing and when you're interviewing, as far as, things that they like, things that they don't like, things that they, hope to learn when they come to work at your organization. So yeah, I guess that's going to be my take on the new grads.
So I'm in agreement. I do like the new grads, but I do see the value in both. I think the perfect situation is where you do have somebody who is established in the office, or you're hiring that established individual. And then if the opportunity is available, to bring in a new grad behind that individual, so that, you're growing your own individual in a new grad, where you've got the opportunity for a seasoned individual who knows what's going on already to do the work, become the shadower, maybe become the mentor, and then, the new graduate would be able to learn, have some time under their belt with somebody who's able to actually jump right in day one and start doing the actual work of a hygienist, but then, again, educate, teach, grow this new graduate. And again, with receptiveness, I think there's a little bit of difference, because an individual who's seasoned and coming in from, say, another organization, they already have their mindset. They already know what they want, of course, depending on how long they've been in the business. But they're a little tougher to kind of land in place on immediate. They want things. They tell you exactly what they want, like you were referring to. Then these new grads, they do have an idea because they're coming out of school. They're being prompted. Sometimes they're not necessarily being given the actual information, but an idea of what their assignments, and their new roles would look like. So sometimes it's a little bit of a guessing game for those guys. And then you have to kind of level set. And I think that's the hard piece that we have as recruiters, is level setting them to reality versus, what the school is wanting them to try to find and accept, and then what they're looking for, especially.
Yeah, I think it's hard, especially, with the new grads, because in school, Michelle and I talk about this in the podcast a lot. In school, you're taught one thing, and they're gearing you towards this very specific board exam, this very specific ideology of this is what you'll be doing as a hygienist. But then when they come to a DSO or another very even progressive private practice, where you're saying, no, you'll do all of those things, but also you need to be doing oral cancer screenings. And so that's where I see the biggest obstacles, though, is we do put them in there, even if we do have a good mentor in there, and they just don't understand the scope of the quality of care they're supposed to be rendering. If you were the person that was hiring and or training in an office, who would you rather have, Michelle Strange? Established or newbie?
I don't think I care one way or the other. It would depend on the individual, because I think
and their personality.
Right. And their willingness to learn and willingness to
teach.
Well, and just ask good questions, put their foot in the door, actually be a team player, all those things. And I think to say that the dichotomy of newbie versus veteran,
doesn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, I've taught some people where I was like, I would not want to be your colleague.
Yeah.
You're about to graduate. You were going to be in that newbie category, but I would not want to work with you ever?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have a hard time with that question.
It's definitely hard. So I think, the takeaway that we could do, like before we move on to the next question, is just like, look, if you're a student, a new grad listening to this, or you're a veteran listening to this, it really is about like your attitude towards the profession, it's the attitude towards your patients.
Exactly.
It's your willingness to learn, willingness to kind of just continue to evolve, like as a professional, because it's not going to be static ever. Anything you learn is never going to be the same.
To have an open mind when you're changing from either a private practice or another DSO into another opportunity, to have an open mind because things are going to be different, but you also need to be able to, say, yeah, that's something I didn't think about. That's something that's new to me, and I can take that and run with it. Or we need to talk about this, not to come in just and be demanding over, this is exactly what I want. And obviously I'm talking about a veteran, but then I could be talking about a new grad as well. Again, because they're coming straight out of school with a mindset already. It's reality. I mean, the scope of your job is more than what you practiced in school. And you've got to be open to that whole job description and look at that and have those conversations to understand that.
Yeah.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
I think that's a big key to it as well. Being able to take that job, just like you said, take that job description and expand upon it, because the office is going to, it really doesn't matter whether you're at a DSO or private practice, the office is going to take that job description and they're going to expand it for you. So the more flexible you are, the easier, your professional development is going to be.
By the way, I feel like very calm as I'm having this conversation. I think it's because of the setting that we're in. It feels very like relaxing, like we're in a spa.
Very zen.
Yeah,
It is
very
very
zen.
All right, next question. I would like to know the successes or the pitfalls or the failures of social media recruiting versus like job sourcing sites like Monster, Indeed. Is Monster even a thing anymore?
I don't know.
But Indeed,
LinkedIn,
ZipRecruiter,
LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
ZipRecruiter, yeah.
like all those ones. Like what are we seeing the most success in? Because I have a feeling then if I am a student or a new grad, I'm going to be posting my resume somewhere. This will help them figure out where to go.
Yeah, so experience on my side is the websites like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, they're actually one and the same now, are probably the best places for you to put your information. Make sure your information on your resume is correct. We're looking even at,
And up to date.
that's kind of where I'm going, is we look at the resume and it doesn't have anything about them being a hygienist. Or they were a hygienist, but that was like 4 years ago. And so I'm coming back. So, I mean, just you need to really provide the information, because as a recruiter, if you pop up on Indeed, and I live in Indeed, but if you pop up on Indeed and I have nothing on there that shows that you're a hygienist, why am I reaching out to you?
Right.
So you get passed over at that point, and you don't want that, obviously, if you're seriously looking for a job. But Indeed, for me, I do have great connections with the schools where we have office areas, and then the different organizations, for hygiene hygiene postings. So like Dental Peeps, Georgia Dental Peeps, things like that.
Okay, yes,
they're good. However,
it's very limited.
You don't get much traffic from it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of effort that we put into that, but
Not a lot of ROI, right?
Little return on that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna piggyback on the same thing and say, Indeed is obviously the biggest. At this point in time, right now, Indeed is probably our biggest sourcing tool. We're able to get a majority of our candidates through Indeed, and I do a lot of LinkedIn and social media, trying to post some of the different jobs that we have, some of the different opportunities available. Whether it's through videos or just small posts, and I don't get the traction on those that I do on the Indeed. So definitely Indeed. Craigslist is another one that jobs get posted, and
That a thing still?
Yeah.
It is.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
Surprisingly, even in Washington, it's still a thing.
yeah, believe it or not, Craigslist we get applicants through Craigslist.
Figured that thing had been shut down by now.
No.
Nope.
iHire is another avenue that's fairly decent for me as well. It does create a lot of work on the recruiter aspect.
Right.
But I am able to, hit there pretty frequently.
Yeah.
With possibilities on hires through iHire. But Indeed is by far the avenue I go. I just looked at Indeed yesterday, as a matter of fact, while I was in the office, and I'm searching for specific areas, and nobody was coming up because I've contacted everybody in the area.
Oh my goodness.
wow.
Everybody.
Wow.
So it's like I'm totally dry in
is
certain
dry.
areas. Yeah.
So are you seeing a lot of overlap though? Like people that are on iHire are the same people that are in Indeed, the same people that are on.
No,
really?
I do. I see a lot of that.
I don't in my sections at least, but continually, I'm like looking in Indeed, and I'm got the same people, but I've already contacted them, so it's a waiting game. Unfortunately, you have to wait until they're ready to talk to you so that you can get their contact information and have a good conversation about what your opportunities might be. So it can be a little bit difficult.
What about lists from the conferences, conventions? So FTC just happened. We had a really great wine. What was he? A bartender was just pouring a bunch of wine. Michelle, you would have loved this one. Right next to our booth. He was standing in our booth. He said, all right, if you want a glass of wine, I'll pour it up for you. But I need your contact information first for these people. And so he got like hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah, the list was huge, to be quite honest with you. Even for hygienists, we got a lot from the FTC. And we will be doing that at the RDH Under One Roof as well in the booth.
Wait, we are?
Yes, we are. So
I'm at the
Michelle,
wrong booth.
that's actually booth number.
We're number
Mouthwash.
238.
I need you to hear
238.
this. That I
Yeah,
apparently
this is
signed
about
up
after
for
this
the
already
wrong booth.
Mouthwash, you can learn something from this. All right?
When are we going to start getting dating apps for this? Like, who's swiping? Why are we not swiping? And then everybody matches.
Yeah.
Good question. So, forgot where we were going.
Well,
The lists.
we were going with the list, but I wanted to kind of circle back a little bit on the social media part that you were talking about. And it brought up an interesting story where I was just talking to a dental hygienist a couple of days ago. Had a great conversation with her, talked about a specific office. And later that evening, I saw a post on Facebook from the exact same hygienist asking questions about some of the things that we were talking about to spot check me, so to speak. I found it quite interesting how that shows you the power of social media, but yet we're not harnessing the power in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, it's a fine line. I'm in several of these Florida groups for Facebook, and I see the recruiters for other DSOs and other companies, same people over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
They get zero response.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are hygienists too, formerly in the operatory, but now doing something like that, and nothing. And so you're right. It's, if we could figure out how to harness it, like that'd be huge.
That'd be huge.
But that's just not how it's working.
And the competition is just so hot and heavy right now. We're all competing against each other for what minimal
People are looking
opportunities. Yeah, it's crazy the number of people who are gone now. And I know this is going to lead into a segue. It's a little bit later, but COVID, the pandemic, has really just hurt a hygiene opportunity for the dental practices.
Well, maybe let's go into that right now. The pre-pandemic versus the post-pandemic, or as we're kind of.
I was like, we're still in it.
We're still in it.
As we're kind of like
We're still in it.
hopefully figuring this out.
looking through the haze.
Working through the Delta variant.
Right. Yeah, I think, for at least on my side, the candidate flow, the number of people that were looking, definitely much higher prior to the whole pandemic. Since the pandemic, it's somebody turned off the switch. Somebody just went in and just flipped the switch, and nobody wants to work. I completely understand, with that type of field, you're very close to your patients, and it's a very dangerous position to put yourself in. And I get that completely. But with all the protection that's out there, it just seems like there would be more people looking for work than there are right now. It's really where, like Teresa said, we're overlapping.
I think also what we're seeing, there's a trend right now in the colleges as well the students aren't there. The student population has decreased significantly. So a class may be a cohort of maybe 25. When they graduate, we might get 9, we might get 10.
Wow,
if we're
that's
lucky.
Significant.
Yikes.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, the states are not helping as well because now they'll graduate May, but they can't get their license and do all the testing for their licensing until literally I've got one school that's not getting anything done until the end of August. I mean, that's months off with no income in their field, paying back loans, all this good stuff. So, it's been traumatizing. I'm going to tell you, I think that it is, because on my side, like you was saying, we had high numbers before. Wasn't super easy still, but because you're evaluating and trying to get the best individual for the offices. But post-pandemic, I've had conversations where the hygienists are it's just not something I want to do anymore. I don't want to be that close to anybody's mouth. They don't care about the PPE. They want it and we talk about it, but it's not enough to keep them in their practice.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys are, just as a plug for this podcast, if you guys are running into that, we did an episode not too long ago that talked about aerosols and things like that. And there's some science that we talked about. So I'll give you guys a link to that and be like, yeah, go listen to this little podcast and see how it goes.
Well, I also think, and this, not to digress from our verses, but there was a lack of culture around safety in a lot of practices prior to the pandemic. And I absolutely feel for people who are like, I was getting tired of this before the pandemic and I've asked for certain things for years and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
It's really just not, I don't even think that this PPE would last outside of like a week of some, being in some practices with these leaders that don't really care about a safety culture.
Sure.
I think they were like, it's really not that important to come back anymore.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't great to begin with.
Right.
And then to come back amidst, all
of this,
all the problems that are, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it really is.
And then those offices that when they did try to come back, didn't get ahead of the curve to get the PPE that was necessary for their staff to come back.
Well, the supply chain issues that
didn't help either.
That we've all
terrible.
experienced. Yeah.
Domino effect. Yeah.
And I think we're going to hit that again, unfortunately. I think we're going to have a supply chain situation again. Who knows?
Well, let's hope not.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, it is happening. I mean, and it's gloves one week, and then it's going to be masks the next week, and then it's going to be
disinfectant and
disinfectant or hygiene hand pieces right now. All sorts of different things you could come into. So I wanted to know about your thoughts on like video interviews versus in-person interviews versus telephone interviews, and kind of like what your thoughts are around like the benefits, the pros and cons, success rates, stuff like that.
Wow. And we've probably powered through all of these at this point. More successful, I think, is a face-to-face interview in that you get kind of this comfort atmosphere as well. You relax the individual. Granted, everybody's nervous when they go to an interview, no matter what kind of interview it is. Telephone seems to be the more easy because they are just talking, right? And they don't realize that you're doing an interview most of the time. So they get a little comfortable there, sometimes a little too comfortable. So you get a little more information.
I feel like you have a story you want to tell us about that, Teresa.
No, I don't think so. Not for podcasting.
Many stories.
But then I feel that face-to-face is probably the best. I guess it's kind of speaking old school. I think that it allows you to kind of size up the individual a little more. What are you really getting? What did they think about themselves to present to you? Again, it's not just on appearance, but I'm going to say, how did they look? How did they present themselves? Body language. Oh my gosh, body language. And just then making sure that they're not so comfortable with you, but, have the ability to carry on a conversation, understand that what their job that they're actually applying for is, and can they have that conversation with you? Video, it's something I think everybody's going to end up moving to. It's just going to be a matter of having the individual understand when they do their interviews, they're not looking at the camera, they're looking above the camera and, all these places of things. I think there's an education piece that needs to be taught about that as well, something that could be taught at schools. to older individuals who are changing jobs. I think that's something that, you can help them out with. How, when you're doing this, you give them the tips, where to go, where to look, that kind of a thing, how to speak to this thing, again, about the background and how much that actually adds into it. I actually had an interview where I did with a student that I was hiring, and I could not focus on our conversation because he was first in the daughter's bedroom doing this. It was all pink. And there was a coat that looked like literally it was climbing out of the closet.
Oh my God.
And I couldn't focus.
Oh my gosh.
I was like trying to figure out, why is that coat like that? And you're in a pink room. So it's, those are things that they need to take into account.
Yeah.
And, I think there's opportunity to learn.
Can I also say, though, also on telephones? Because how many times did I complain to you guys about, like, okay, I had this candidate, and I think they were cooking dinner, and they're yelling at their kids.
Right.
Or they're in the car.
Yeah.
And they're ordering food at the drive-thru.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could make a book on just things that have literally happened like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
The phone keeps cutting out. They keep coming back. They're like, "Can't you not hear me? What's the problem?" I'm like, "Hello."
Yeah.
I'm going to side a little bit more on the telephone interview part, even though I agree 100% with you with the live face-to-face interview. But just for the sake of argument, I'm gonna side a little bit more on the telephone part. And the reason why I like the telephone part, first off, it's easy, it's quick, it's simple. And not enough people are using the telephone. Everybody uses their phones for texting and for playing games and looking at their Facebook. I don't know what else they're using it for, but they're not utilizing it. This is meant as a quick communication piece that you can have a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation with somebody to discuss the position. And it doesn't take any extra effort on the part of the candidate. They don't have to drive to an office. They don't have to drive somewhere to take up valuable time. As it is, they don't have enough time. If they're working at another practice right now, they don't have enough time to talk to you anyway. So taking 15 minutes to have a simple phone call to see if it's worth going to the next step, going to that face-to-face, I think is crucial. And I just find that too many people just completely bypass the telephone part of it altogether, and they look to, well, if you send me a text message, maybe I'll answer the text message. If you send me an email, I might answer the email. But if you're just, reaching out to me and trying to set up a face-to-face interview, obviously in the hygiene field, the hygienist has to go look at the office. They have to meet the team that they're going to be working with. They have to look at their surroundings, see what they're going to have to work with. But you've got to have that just a short phone conversation. And Andrew, we've done that numerous times where you've been able to reach out to a candidate and talk on the phone, and I think you get a lot of great information out of what they're looking for, and if they're meeting the needs of what we're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Of all of the forums, I don't like doing the interview on
Telephone.
Texting. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I remember that one.
Well, what could have been a 5-minute conversation ended up being an hour-long texting back and forth because they're not on the other end, like replying right away.
No.
They're doing whatever else they're doing.
Whatever.
Yeah. I am literally like, my time is blocked out just for this quote unquote interview.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, all right, I will wait for 10 minutes till they reply and then I'll quickly reply back. Oh my gosh, it was the worst.
That's so annoying.
Yeah, I use texting to communicate to the candidate, not to do interviews.
To set up.
Yeah, to have that initial conversation to say, hey, I want to talk to you about this job. So texting for me works because I know they're sitting there with their hands in somebody's mouth, and when they get a time, they're going to look at their text and they'll write back to me.
Sure.
So then I get to set up, a time for us to call and talk to each other. But yeah, to do an interview, I think
That seems.
I think it's kind of
outrageous.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It was rough.
I think
It was
there's
bizarre.
no respect in that either.
That's what I felt. I felt it was very disrespectful.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Scrubs versus business attire.
Scrubs for the hygienist.
Definitely.
The front desk now is changing away from scrubs to be more professional because they're the first persons meeting the customer. So That can change there, but the scrubs.
You can do an interview in scrubs or
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
I wish we were able to wear scrubs.
Yeah. No, I think it makes no sense. It has never made any sense to me that we were like, I have to dress like I am here at RDH under one roof when I will not show up to a single day of patient care like this.
Right.
Like, wouldn't it be better to see if I put my hair up, or is it all over my face, or am I, wearing a bunch of jewelry that I shouldn't be wearing, and, all the things. So thank you.
Nope.
Yes.
That makes me
Totally
happy.
agree.
All right. Final question on the verses is on the resume, headshot or not?
No.
No.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
Because we have definitely heard differently and discussed differently, but I can see where that would become a little bit of an issue with choosing people based on their appearance.
And that is exactly what my experience has been with headshots on resumes. People don't see themselves in that candidate. As a result, not moving forward. And it really has happened.
It leads to bias.
Yeah.
Whether it's conscious or unconscious, it still leads to a bias. And it can be completely innocent and not taken the wrong way. But everybody, we all have our unconscious biases, and you're drawn to that headshot on that resume, and you're going to make a determination based off of that without even looking at any of their qualifications.
My CV right now has my headshot.
Whoa.
That's why she can't find a job. Just kidding, buddy.
The other thing on that is, so what's to stop you, from putting the selfie in the bathroom on your CV?
Right.
It's like, come on, guys. And you see that so much. So it's like, just stay away from them. It's very unprofessional.
At this point, I think they Google my name and they'd have way too many headshots.
Way too many. It's like
Here's the one that I would prefer you to see, actually.
I was going to say, if they need a headshot of you to see a picture, everybody can just Google the
it,
name and find it that way.
Exactly.
Go out to Facebook and creep on you.
Yeah, for sure.
What is like the last sage wisdom that you might have for someone that's looking for a job?
The resume is critical, especially with a new graduate. You've got to provide the information that you actually held positions previously. They're obviously not in your role, but we want to see that you've got some experience somewhere. You want to deal with customers. You want to deal with the patients. So we want to know that you've done that. Keep it updated. Keep it updated. I am somebody with buku years of experience, needed to move, relocate, have a job, and it took me 2 weeks to build back my resume because I didn't keep it updated because I was with the same company for forever, right? So it sneaks up on even the sage people, right? As you want to call them. But keeping the resume, and I think my biggest pet peeve is put a voicemail on your cell phone.
Oh,
do not leave it not
advice.
set up. Put
Andrew.
something out there. Andrew,
I don't think my work one might be. My personal one
mark?
definitely is not.
if you're looking for a job, how are we supposed to get in touch with you? If you do not have voicemail on your phone, yes, we can text you, but you're looking at it going, who are you? Why are you reaching out to me? Mm-hmm. You're doing the same thing if we leave you a voicemail, but you hear me now. Now you know why I'm talking to you. Granted, the same thing can happen but it's very frustrating as a recruiter to try to get in touch with you because you've made an application to a position. I'm interested in you. Now I'm calling you and I get there. I'm sorry, this person's voicemail has not been set up. You cannot leave a message.
Or when it's full.
Or when it's
That one
full.
bothers me.
That one's too. Some recruiters will simply bypass you. You're out of the game at that point. They don't make the effort.
Yeah. How does voicemail get full?
Yeah,
Oh, it does.
You just don't answer
A lot of calls, a lot of...
I probably haven't deleted a lot on there. I'm like, am I?
No one likes you.
Your voicemail may be full and you don't know it either.
This is a very good point.
So check it.
I do need to check it.
I'm going to kind of switch it up a little bit because this is just a personal preference and it doesn't go off of anything that Resume 101 has taught me, but take out the education part on your resume, not the license part. That obviously is crucial, but when you're creating your resume, instead of listing the fact that you went to such and such school for 2 years, and then you went to another school for 2 years and you got your bachelor's, and trust me, I'm right there with you that I understand how important you want to be perceived as by putting that education on there. I went back to school, I got my bachelor's degree and I got my master's degree. And when I started looking for a job, I felt like I had to post that master's degree on my resume just to impress people, just to let them know, hey, I went back to school and I got a master's degree. Nobody cares. I'm sorry, but it's really irrelevant information. You got a license. That's fantastic. That's what needs to be on there. Any certifications, those need to be on there. But the education, where you went to school and how long you went to school, it's irrelevant. It's not needed. And you're wasting valuable real estate that you can be talking more about the skills that you have and that you bring.
Yeah.
1-page resumes.
Yeah. That's a good one.
1-page
Front and back?
resumes. No.
No,
Just
just
one?
one
Just
page.
the
15
front
pages.
1 page.
I'm serious. Like my CV is very hard to get it on 2 pages.
Oh, look at me. I'm so
Most recent.
accomplished in life.
I would
Blah, blah,
definitely
blah.
have a hard time.
Yep. No, 1-page
Yeah.
resumes.
Yeah.
Nothing
yeah.
else is
Most
needed.
recent.
The only people that should have, in my opinion, through the sage years that I've done, but should have more than 1-page resumes are scientists, engineers, doctors who have done publishing.
Publication.
That
that's
is
why.
the only people.
Is it CV versus resume?
For hygienists,
For
I think
hygienists,
it's resume.
It's resume. Yeah. The CV is typically longer. That's where you're going to list publications. Otherwise, it's a resume. And by keeping it 1 page, keep in mind, if you're making up a resume, the recruiter that's going to be looking at that, they're going to spend 6 seconds looking at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No more than that.
I just have one quick question. This is when I came to life. What about websites as resumes?
Website addresses.
Yeah, like putting a website address and having all of that stuff on a
And just
website.
be like, hey, go to my website
Yeah.
if you want to know more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you want to know more. Yeah. In addition to,
Yeah.
definitely a LinkedIn address
A LinkedIn,
on the resume.
Okay.
Right.
In the
That's
header.
that's a good idea.
I could spend a day on this.
Not by itself.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you could.
Okay.
Not just.
In addition to.
Yes.
In addition. Got it. All right. That was all.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are the
This is
best.
fun.
Absolutely, it's fun.
Well, another great week, another great episode. We thank you all so much for listening each week. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, whatever podcasting app you're using. Also, just a reminder, our guests are so fantastic that they love when you reach out. They love when you interact with them on social media. And you can interact with us on social media as well at Instagram or Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn. You can find us at A Tale of Two Hygienists. You can also go to our website, ataleoftwohygienists.com. And we would love for you to go there and subscribe for our newsletter. We have lots of stuff on our website. We have a learning center. You can search for any episode. This is an easy place for you to find the links for our CE courses and take the test. There's just so much more there. So head over to ataleoftwohygienists.com. And if you want, you can also send us an email. I'm Michelle at ataleoftwohygienists.com. And then there's Andrew, who is Andrew at ataleoftwohygienists.com. And we just want to say thank you so much. If you love this episode and you're loving the podcast, we would love for you to subscribe and leave us a review. And, 5-star, go ahead and do it. 5-star, just hit that 5-star and then leave us a review. We really appreciate it. We love reading them. It fuels our fire. And we just appreciate you guys so much. I think that's it, Andrew. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye, y'all.